balancing ledge, having worked and climbed there for like my whole life. There were some people that were climbing there that were really fucking it up for everybody by taking too many people there and not managing their groups properly.
I've heard that yesterday, actually.
So by negotiating with the National Trust, because my centre, Brenscombe, is a reputable centre. So Brenscombe Outdoor Centre, which is one of my outdoor centres, that's a reputable outdoor centre.
How do you spell it, sorry?
Brenscombe, Brenscombe. It means Bren's Hill in Old English. So my groups are using that, but there was other groups that are screwing that up. So we had to get some sort of a format for groups using it that was fair. So that's what we did with the National Trust and with the other groups and the local parish council. That was quite interesting because that was getting, whilst we were doing that, somebody went down and smashed all the bolts that the groups were using down there, like flattened them all and stuff. I don't know if you've heard that.
No. Do people know who did that?
No, and I suspect it was just a kind of somebody who was grumpy about groups going down there from the village that went down and did it. Kind of Wallace and Gromit type criminal. Rather than being a climber grumpy about it being on his route or something like that, like a trad route that's been bolted.
Okay. And so how many outdoor centres do you run?
So I've got 3. So I've got the New Forest, I've got Brenscombe at Corfe Castle, and I've just opened one on Portland in Castletown, which is Portland Outdoor Centre.
Cool. And are they all climbing or just outdoor?
More kind of school residential centres.
Yeah.
So we do climbing, and I do a lot of climbing work with the staff that work for me each season.
So it's a bit similar to a bit different to what Eddie does.
It's different to what Eddie does. Eddie is more of a kind of more of a specialist. 2 people want to learn to rock climb, and they're adults, and they can pay a sensible amount of money.
Yeah.
So he'll take them and teach them on a 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 basis. Yeah. Whereas my centre might have 100 people staying at it, and they're all doing things as groups.
Cool. And when was the first? Do you know when was the first time you built it?
When I was about 17.
17, same. And have you been bolting since then? Have you?
I haven't. I've not been a active new router. I've just sporadically and periodically done a little bit when I fancied it.
Yeah. Have you been getting involved in the recent events, or have you done much last summer?
No, I put three little tiny sport routes up last summer. But there's still places that you can go and put new routes up, and there's still places that you can go and put new trad routes up. I've put up about a dozen new trad routes in the last 3 years, from kind of VS to about E4. So, and I quite enjoy that.
Do you reckon you're more of a trad climber then?
No, I think I like both sides of the fence. I like trad climbing because it pushes you more physically and mentally, and I like sport climbing because you can enjoy it a bit more, but you can get fitter to do more trad climbing. So I'm not one side or the other. I like climbing as a whole.
Yeah. Cool. And any rebolting or just mainly?
I've done a little bit, but that's mainly just on group stuff to help out Marty, who does an amazing job for everybody, as Steve did before him.
Cool. Do you think some areas shouldn't be bolted?
Definitely, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's down to the nature of the rock in those places, but there's got to be places where people in 50 years' time can come and have a go at doing something extreme, and also one of the things that I really enjoy, I quite enjoy going climbing at some of the more remote places. And as soon as you kind of bolt everything, then kind of everybody can go climbing there.
True.
So you get more time to you get more time in nature without other people.
Yeah,
places where they're more inaccessible and less safe.
Yeah, I still remember my first time abbing down to the Rockall, and then just spending 3 hours, less than 3 hours, 2 hours on a route with 2 other people, and nobody around you, and the sea. It's very eerie and very nice. You know what you mean. Did you take part in the meeting that took place in 1993 in Swanage when they decided what bits get bolted and what bits
No.
not? But you aware of it?
Yeah.
Do you know much about what happened?
No.
Hopefully Steve or Pete will have much to say about that. So what style do you approach your first ascents or when you put up routes?
Well, if it's in an agreed sport climbing area, then I'd bolt it, and if it's not an agreed sport climbing area, then I'd trad climb it.
But as in, do you have a dot probe to try it and see if it's feasible, or do you ground up?
If I can see gear on it and it doesn't look too hard, then I'll ground up, and I've done that on about half a dozen trad routes. I haven't recorded any of these trad routes, but I need to get on and do that. But the harder trad routes, I'll just wrap them and practice on the on nab or top rope it, and then try and climb it. But it's quite a serious consequence if you, particularly on a loose limestone cliff, if you don't. So that's my kind of approach.
Cool. So you've got plenty that aren't recorded yet.
Yeah.
But you've got other ones that have been recorded.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you feel when people repeat your ascents, whether it's sport or trad?
What's really nice is that a couple of the really easy sport lines I bolted them because they were obviously a really easy line, and I was annoyed that there weren't more easier lines. I actually had a conversation with Scott 10 years ago, maybe even 13 years ago, and said Dorset needs more easy sport climbing. And then he went and bolted all of the routes at Hedbury, the easy routes at Hedbury. Now, whether that was anything to do with that conversation or not, I'll never know. But there was definitely a period of time where there were no easy sport routes. And the reality is, if you've got a lot of people interested in going climbing, they gravitate towards sport climbing because it's the easier type of climbing to start climbing with. But then there's this corollary that there was no easy places to go sport climbing. So, so there needed to be more easy places. So yeah, I love seeing the fact that people climb an easy climb that you've done. And that's great, and it's quite cool to go on